Hi everyone, so my name is Marla Beebe. I am one of the librarians here at Shawnee State University. I'm the Research and Instruction Librarian. Also happen to be serving as acting director right now, but my real job or my actual original position is Research and Instruction Librarian. One of the things I also am though is I'm responsible for the teacher education department. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I show most students when they're in person in their EDUC 1115 Intro to Teacher Education classes. So that's what we'll kind of be going over. I'm going to show you how to find some of our some resources that are available to you to help you with research, as well as some things that are here available to help as you're constructing lessons or looking at things from the teacher standpoint. As far as practical actual things. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share my screen. Okay, let me come down here and share screen. Let me see here. Okay, and here I am. Okay, so here's the library website. If you want to, you can just type library.shawnee.edu in the address bar and that'll take you there. If you're on the library or the SSU homepage, then you'll see this academics over here over the top and you'll hover over that and then click Clark Memorial Library and that'll get you here too. All right, so Clark Memorial Library's website, you'll notice right here there are ways to get in contact with us. You can call us at the service desk, text us, email us. If you see this green chat now button, that means that chat's available with a library staff member and you can click that. If there's not a chat person available, then you'll see it says chat unavailable with the red button. Okay, now one of the cool things we have at the library are things called research appointments. So these are one-on-one appointments or small group appointments with a librarian. So if you're having problems getting started with research, or say you are doing research and you're like, I can't find any more sources, or I don't think I'm doing this right, then don't get frustrated. You can contact a librarian and get in touch and meet with us. So the way to do that is from the library homepage. Down here you'll see a box that says Research and Instruction, and the second thing down is Schedule a Research Appointment. So you would just click on that. And then you'll notice right here there's a form and you'll just fill out this form. You'll notice right here it says at this time all research appointments are online using Zoom, and that's because of COVID-19. So usually we have personal where you can see us in person, but right now everything is through Zoom. So you would just fill out all this form. Down at the bottom it says meet with the do you wish to meet with a specific librarian? So all you would do is take this drop-down menu, you do first available. There's me, Marla Beebe. So especially if you're doing a teacher ed stuff, you can select me. And then there's Suzanne Johnson-Varney, she's our other librarian. And this is, you just click submit and then one of us will get back with you. Now this is something that you don't have, it's not just for teacher ed courses, it's also for any other course that you're taking as well. So like psychology or science or something along that line. Okay. All right. So you may be used to, and you see this big box here, it says Discovery Service. And what this box does is it finds articles, books, videos, and more. So it combines a whole bunch of our resources. It looks for books, like in our library catalog, and a number of different subject databases and general databases at the same time. Now, one of the things you'll want to do is you'll want to focus in at some point. Sometimes what you find in Discovery Service is actually too broad and you have a hard time combing through all the information. So sometimes you want to go to a specific website or a specific database to find articles that are more focused on the particular subject area that you're with. So that's one of the research things that I'm going to show you. But the way we're going to approach this whole lesson is through looking at the Teacher Education Research Guide. So if you come over here to find articles, that box in the middle of the page right there, you'll see it says Research Guides by Subject, and I would just click on that. And I'll scroll all the way down to Teacher Education. I'll click on that. And then the Teacher Education link. I'll click on that. Now here's a whole list of tabs. These are ones, I'm not going to go over every one, but I'll go over some of them. Some of these are going to be helpful for you with research and some more for the teaching part. All right, so the second one down is find research articles. I'm just going to click on that. You'll notice a whole bunch of these databases here. Some are very focused on a topic. Some of them are a little bit broader, like JSTOR. But one of the big ones that you might want to use that is actually great for you to use with teacher education is ERIC. ERIC is a database that comes through the U.S. Department of Education. And we have access to it through the library with this cool interface to it, or ways we can limit. It's just, you know, gives a lot more bells and whistles, although ERIC is actually freely available online. But here we're going to click ERIC, and this will take us to the library version of it. I'm going to type in autism spectrum disorders, or disorders. And what that's going to do when I click the orange search button, it's going to search anywhere in an item's record for autism spectrum disorders. So I'm just going to click search. And it's thinking. Okay. And here are a whole list of things that are related to autism spectrum disorders. You'll notice there are some videos here. You're probably not going to use those very much at all. You'll see some are academic journal articles, and some we've got some reports here. So there's a whole bunch of different types of resources in here, but it's predominantly academic journals. So what I'm going to show you is a couple ways to limit to see what you see on here, because you see we got like 15,000 results. So one of the things you can do is if your professor says they only want scholarly or peer-reviewed journal articles, you can just click this button right here, click this checkbox. And these are just articles that are written by scholars and then they're reviewed by experts in the field. So they've gone through a real rigorous review process, something above and beyond what happens in like magazines and newspapers. So these are kind of the gold standard when it comes to actually doing research. So I will click the check mark or check the box next to scholarly peer-reviewed journals. And then now everything that comes back, you'll notice, is an academic journal article. Now, another thing you might want to do is limit by date. So right here, also in this limit to section, you'll see it says publication date. And what you usually like to do is get current sources. A lot of times in teacher education, we say last 5 years. Some professors will say you can go back 10 years for your studies. And this helps because limiting, because sometimes research, well, always, research changes and gets updated. So it can be helpful to come in here and actually limit by date and get the last 5 years. Although I will tell you there are some points in time where you might want something from a historical era, like say in this case, say 1967 to 1977. And then you can enter that in there and you'll get all the articles and such back from those 1967 to 1977. But right now what I'm going to do is I want the last 5 years. So I'm going to put 2015 there, and then there's 2020, which is what we're in right now. And I'm going to click enter. And now everything that comes back is going to be from a scholarly journal article published in the last 5 years. Okay, so I'm going to show you now, I'm going to show you a few quirks when it comes to ERIC as far as finding the databases or finding the articles. Now you'll notice this one right here has the PDF full text attached to it. So you can just click that right here. So click this where it says PDF full text and you'll get the PDF. You can also click on the title of the article there. You'll notice it has a abstract here, which is like kind of like a summary of the article. It tells you what the article actually is about. If it's a study, a lot of times it'll give you the methods and the results and the conclusion, just in a very much of a short nutshell. So it kind of gives you an idea about whether this article really kind of is something that would be helpful to you. So you'll notice in this thing right over here, we've got PDF full text over here on the left-hand side. You would just click on that and there would be your PDF. Now listen carefully about this one. So some students want to get back to this page and they think that if I come up here to the top, to the URL at the top of the page, and they copy and paste that into an email or a Word doc, that when they come back to it later, they're going to be able to, enter that into their address bar, and boom, they get back to this page. That doesn't happen because it's specific to this search session that I'm doing right now. So if you use this and you try to come back, say tomorrow, it's not going to get you anything. You're going to get an error. So do not do that because it can cause a lot of frustration because you'll lose your research. So what you want to do is over here on the right-hand side of the page, you'll see something that says permalink. You'll just click permalink. And this URL right here is what you're going to want to cut and paste, and that will get you back to this page. So remember, you want to do permalink, not this one up here at the top. Okay, so let's go back to the result list. Get us back there. Okay. Now, another thing that you might find is an article. Say we like this training of novice trainers to work with athletes. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to say, read my abstract. Yeah, this is something that I'm interested in. Now, with this case, you'll notice there's no PDF over here on the left-hand side, but it says next availability, full text from Eric, available online here. And it gives a URL. So I'm just going to click on that. And it's going to take me to the Eric page. And then I can just download full text by coming over here to the right in the gray box and click download full text. Okay, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to get back in my result list. I'm going to show you one more thing. So this first one, I'm going to come up to the top. Say this first article, you're looking at the title and you're like, okay, this looks maybe interesting. I'm going to read my abstract, and you're like, yeah, I want this article. So you'll notice there's no PDF over here on the left. There's nothing that says full text by Eric, but there's a URL right here, and it's a DOI, so the digital object identifier, which is just kind of like its permanent address on the web. So you would just click on that link, and that's going to take you to this page, or a page that is kind of similar to this. And then over on the left side or somewhere on the page, you'll see it'll say download PDF. You would just click on that and your PDF would download. So those are 3 ways to actually find those articles, access, I guess I should say, the articles in an ERIC database. So that's just real briefly kind of how you can use ERIC as a research resource. Okay. And now I also want to say, you'll notice in this list of databases, there are things called, like, we got APA Psycinfo, and it tells me that that's actually a psychology database. Well, a lot of things that happen with education have a psychological element, or, it is related to, say you have, mental health issues with students. Well, if you want to find research on those mental health issues, even some with education, you can go into Psycinfo. And you'll notice down here, like Soc Index, which is sociology. So teacher education, well, you got some topics that have a lot to do with sociology. So that's why those are all in here. Okay, now we're going to come over here to find books. This is the 4th one down, 4th tab down. You'll notice right here, it shows that there are a couple ways to find that our books are situated in the library. There's the circulating stacks, which is on the 3rd floor. There's just all of our books that circulate. Some of our books are in the CMC, which is on the 1st floor. And I'm going to show you a kind of a tour in a second via PowerPoint of the Curriculum Material Center. But we have some books down there. So to search the library catalog, you can either come to this teacher guide and get in this page and click right there that says click here to search in the SSU catalog. But if you don't want to go through this whole process and you just want to get from the library website, you can come over here to find books, this box on the right side of the page. Click on SSU Library Classic Catalog, and it'll get you here. So let's say I'm looking for a book on Malala. I will click submit. Now you'll notice there's couple book or a few books in here. So this is the one article or the book I'm like really looking for. So I Am Malala, How One Girl Stood Up for Education and Changed the World. Notice right here under location, this is kind of tiny. It says CMC, so that tells you it's down in the CMC, and it gives you the call number and that it's available. And if it's in the CMC right now, you can actually go down there and look for the book there. But if you're looking at this call number and you're not quite sure how to find it because maybe you're used to the Dewey Decimal System, which is, all numbers, and you're wondering, well, why are these two, letters there? Well, that has to do with the subject matter, and then the numbers and more letters. So basically you read it kind of alphabetically and then numerically and then alphabetically down. But if you have issues and you're like, I don't understand this, or I've tried finding it, I can't find it, you can always come up to the service desk and somebody up there will help you. Now you'll notice this one right here. This is actually kind of the original book, and then this one, the first one here, is actually the kind of like the book that's more appropriate for children. So you'll notice right here it says circulating stacks, and that's on the 3rd floor. Now, right now during our COVID-19 restrictions, that 3rd floor is closed. So if you want this, what you can do is come up to the front desk, and especially if you take a picture of this screen with your phone, and you can just say, or write this down, and you can just say, hey, I want the book, I Am Malala, the girl who was shot by the Taliban. Then we can look it up on our computer, and one of our service desk students will go up and find that book for you in the circulating stacks, and then come down and you will be able to get it. Okay. Now, I'm going to move back to the teacher guide. Now you'll notice right here, this is about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th one down. It says databases for children and young adults. I'm just gonna click that. Now right here, there's a whole bunch of just individual databases for students. So like Explora for primary schools. So this is kind of like a, like a research sort of database for kids in kindergarten through 5. So it's a lot like focused on and organized and displayed in something that would make sense to primary students. And you'll also see like we've got Middle Search Plus, which is middle school. Now, these are all databases that if you're teaching across the state of Ohio, but also in other states, the schools can purchase these and have them available to you. Now, you can look in these, but again, these are all, you don't want to use this for your research, but if you're looking at kind of what students can use, that's what you'll be using here. Now, we're going to get to Info Ohio in a second, but this is something that Ohio students have access to that are a bunch of different databases. So now what I'm going to go to is where it says information by content area. And these are things that, say, for example, if you are in reading and English language arts instruction, you can just click on that. And you'll notice right here, well, here's a database that we have available to you that can help your students. So this one's Novelist K+, and basically what this is useful, it helps you identify books that might be helpful to you in your teaching. It also might be helpful to you if a student comes up to you and says, I like to read books by this author, but I'm done with all those books and I don't know what to do next. You can use like Novel K+ to help, find you, help find the student a book that they might like. So if they like this author, they might like another author. Also, if they say, I just like Harry Potter, then you can look up books that are, you look Harry Potter and then find other books that they may like because it's the same subject matter, or it's kind of written, it's kind of the same topic or the kind of genre, something like that. So that's another way to use Novel K+. But this is just one example of a database and a research resource, or a source that you can use that's appropriate for your actual teaching part. So not something you would necessarily use as your own research, but as far as your teaching aspect. And you'll notice over here, we have different ones: science, social studies, visual arts, things like that. Okay, now, at some point in time, as you get through this, towards the end, you're gonna have to take the OAE exams. And you'll notice right over here on the left-hand side, the second one from the bottom, it says OAE. I'm going to click on that. Just so you know, we have all these study guides available to you. And these are available to you on a 7-day reserve, so you can check them out for 7 days. And they're just basically like study guides. They're super, super helpful. So I would highly suggest that you check them out and that you actually study for these exams. Obviously, right? Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is something called Info Ohio. And I'm going to I have it right here on the left side of the page. I'm just going to click Info Ohio, and it gives you kind of a little blip about it. And then I'm going to click Info Ohio. And that takes me, as it's thinking, it's going to take me to the Info Ohio page. So Info Ohio is a collection of resources that students in K-12 in the state of Ohio have access to, freely have access to. And the nice thing about this is that everybody has access to it. So like I said, those databases, schools can purchase those independently, but they're very expensive. And so with this gives even the schools that may be poor and don't have a way to purchase these enough databases, they're actually, so those students are actually able to access the same kind of resources that the students maybe in the richer schools can. So anyway, you'll notice right here we have the different grade levels, but I want to show you a couple things down here in the right side. It says Educator Tools in the green button. I'm just going to click on that. All right. Now you'll notice right here, let's say for example, and I already tried this, you're doing a lesson on the Tuskegee Airmen. And let's say I just want to see what's there. And I'm going to click search. And what this does is this gives you some resources that you can use in your teaching to provide support to your teaching. So let's say right here we have the South Carolina ETV Commission. So this is like educational television, so kind of like PBS. And it's looking. And here we go. Kind of gives you a little there blip about Tuskegee Airmen. But one of the cool things is it has interviews with actual Tuskegee Airmen. So that might be something that you'd want to use in your teaching, right? So if you're teaching about the Tuskegee Airmen, you may say, hey, watch this video. This is actually someone who was a Tuskegee Airman. So that's a way that you can use educator tools and those kind of things in your teaching. Okay. I'm going to go back to the Info Ohio page, click it back a couple times. The other thing I want to show you is down here on the right-hand side, you'll see it says iSearch in this little button down here in the bottom corner. If I click on that, it pops this open. Now, this is very similar to the Discovery Service option we have available, like I was showing you on the library homepage. So this is kind of like Discovery Service for K-12 students. So they would just type in a keyword, click iSearch, and then you would just get a list of resources back. So let's say I do that, and I'll type in like Tuskegee. Or how about we just do, we'll just do like cats. And I'll click enter. And we'll get here. So notice there are like ebooks about it. There are encyclopedia articles that they may be interested. And then you'll notice over here, there are also advanced sources. So these are like periodicals, but you'll notice in here, there are also academic journal articles. So this would be something that would be helpful for your older students. And now look over here on the side, you can limit by scholarly peer-reviewed in the left-hand side, by publication date. So this is something that is for K-12 students. Okay, whoops, I'm gonna get back here. I'm gonna click out of that. And now what I'm going to show you is individual, what each individual thing looks like. I'm not going to look at all of them. I'm just going to give you a look at a couple of them. So say, for example, you're teaching in grades 9 through 12 and you click on this. All right. Now, these are all resources that are available to 9 through 12 students, grades 9 through 12 students. And some of these are going to branch over to, say, middle school or even elementary school. But that just means that these articles or these resources have things in them that may be helpful to 9 through 12 students. So you'll need to see some stuff here is focused on science. You'll notice here's another science one, things about business, biography reference banks. So these are all resources that are available to students. And I do want to, like I was saying, that there may bleed over into K through 12. So you just have to look at some of these and think about your students. So it could be you find a resource, say in the Science Reference Center, and it seems like, man, this is really easy. Well, it may be more geared towards, the younger students, or you may be teaching elementary school and you find something like, man, this is hard. Well, maybe it's not appropriate for your elementary school students, but there would be something in here in all these sources that could be of use to grades 9 through 12. All right, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to show you one more thing. So over here in ages, we'll just go grades K through 5. I'm going to click on that. And you'll notice there are some of the same things, but you'll notice there are some that are different. So we've got like World Book Kids. So these are things that are, more appropriate for younger students. And the other thing I want to show you as an example is BookFlix. So this is something that's actually really cool that's available to students. And if I click start, whoops, I want to skip the intro. And basically what this is it's a way to kind of differentiate instruction. So, and you'll learn about that term. So if you have, what that means is if you have students, you're trying to teach the same thing, but some students are at different levels than others, especially with reading. So you would just click on this. You can watch the story. I'm not going to go ahead and do this, but you can go into this and kind of investigate it and kind of look at it. But you would just click watch the story, and as the story goes, it has the words at the bottom, and then they kind of light up while somebody's saying it. And then you can come into read the book, and it looks, and this is also math, and you can go to the page, and then now, these are articles, or these are books that they want then the students to try to read. But okay, here's where the differentiated instruction comes in. If your students are having problems with this, you can click read along, and you'll notice right there. Right, so what it's doing is it's reading it and it's showing you kind of all the words that are coming across. So this is just something that's really, really quite helpful. And the other thing I want to tell you too, I missed saying this at the beginning, but not everything that's a resource that you find in InfoOhio is necessarily appropriate for incorporating into a lesson. Some things might just be nice for a student to look at, outside of an actual lesson, maybe to practice something. But what you want to do is you have to make sure it meets those standards that you have to gear your lessons to. So that's really quite important. Okay, so that gives you just kind of a look at InfoOhio. I'm going to back out. Let's get back here. At the sources that are of course available to you here. Okay, so we looked at resources. We looked at resources for your kids and like how you can actually use in your teaching. The last thing I want to show you, and this I'm going to switch gears here, is I'm going to stop share this, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you our CMC kind of a tour. It's not a very cool tour because it's on PowerPoint, but I'm going to kind of give you an idea about what is available to you. So I'm going to once again share my screen. Okay, and then I will do my slideshow and from current slide, and whoops, it gives you here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back out of this. I'm going to end slideshow, and we'll just look at it this way. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you, so the CMC is this area that we have downstairs on the first floor. That's available to you to look at or to use. Some things are useful just for your, just for teacher ed students, some things other students can use. So, as well as you. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, here's the laminator. So this is for teacher education students only. This is located in the Teaching and Learning Center, which is right as you come down the stairs on the bottom floor of the library. You kind of look off to your right and you'll see the room, the Teaching and Learning Center. And the laminator is actually in that. So basically what this is for available to you as teacher education students. Your friends that are not teacher education students cannot use it. If you would like to use it, you can just ask the service desk students up front, and they will come down and help you with it. It takes about 10 minutes to warm up, so don't just come in like at the very beginning or like 5 minutes before your class starts and you want to laminate something. What you want to do is you want to give yourself plenty of time. All right, and then we have the Ellison machine. So basically what this is like a cookie cutter for paper. So if you remember maybe down back when you were in, say, kindergarten or elementary school, and your teacher had all those apples that looked absolutely identical on their bulletin board. Well, they didn't sit there probably and cut out every single apple. They used an Ellison machine. So you'll notice on the right, you'll see kind of like an individual cookie cutter kind of thing out of the sun. And then all you have to do is on the left picture, you'll see a kind of a little press thing, and you'll just put that cookie cutter thing in there and put your paper in. You just press the handle down and a whole bunch of little stars come out of those papers. So that's kind of a nice thing you can use when you create bulletin boards. We also in the Teaching and Learning Center have a CMC Supplies area. And you'll notice in these pictures that they have things like highlighters and glue and pipe cleaners. And then you'll notice over on the right, we have those rolls of paper like you would use for bulletin boards. And this is all available to you as teacher education students, not your friends in other disciplines, but teacher education students. Now, right now with COVID-19, this area is restricted. So, and this is just because we can't disinfect everything in here that are used, like glue and things like that. So, unfortunately, that's the case right now. Here's just like a kind of a weird example of the way the bookshelves look. It's not really all that pretty, but those are our three book levels. Right there is where we have all our children's literature. We do have some young adult literature, but some of that stuff ends up on the circulating stacks. So like, I think the Divergent series is actually upstairs with all the rest of the books we have, but you know, children's literature is actually in, or I think like Harry Potter, say for example, is in the collection right there that you see in the picture. And right now, you can't, like I said, you can't go upstairs and look at the circulating collection due to COVID-19. But if you want to come to the CMC, you can use these because there's only 3 shelves, but we have arrows that tell you exactly how you're supposed to go down the aisles, you know, one way, that sort of thing. Now, right here, we have manipulatives. Now, I took a picture of this before COVID-19 happened. So what these are, manipulatives are physical objects that students use to help them learn. So you'll notice like right here, we have base 10 blocks. Some of you might be familiar with these. These are used in math, like in elementary years. So these are examples of manipulatives. And right now, our manipulatives are on these shelves, but they're covered in plastic. We are not, due to COVID-19, we're not able to circulate manipulatives. So right now you can't use these, but once COVID-19 is over, then you're going to get to use these, and I'm very excited about that. And then finally, this right here is the study area. You'll notice there's a whole bunch of tables here and chairs, and they all have wheels, which is cool, except in COVID-19 time, everybody has to stay separated. But normally, you would be able to take those chairs and tables and arrange them however you want down there. You know, bump 2 of them together to share with the, or you know, to study with the group, however you want to do it. But for right now, you can only use them in kind of that socially distanced area. Okay, so let me stop sharing. So basically, that's kind of an introduction to the resources we have available to teacher ed students. So if you have any questions, you can get in contact with me. Always do schedule a research appointment. You can also email me. My email address is mbeebe@shawnee.edu. So if you have any questions, like I said, or want any help, then you can just give me a call, or actually just email me is good. You can also call me, which is 740-351-3197. Email is usually the best way to get in touch with me, but you can call if you want to. So anyway, so that is my presentation. And like I said, if you have any questions, please let me know. All right, see you later.